All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Sidetracked. Today we're getting into some honestly, like some crazy fucking shit, dude.
Some wild.
Are you guys aware of how many people go missing, like around the country?
Dude, a lot.
Like a couple
it's actually
hundred.
wild.
It's actually
Thousand.
insane.
It's more than 1,000.
No, a couple 100,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of people.
So I wanted to get this going right off the bat by what do you guys think are the top 3 states with the most missing person cases?
I'd say rural states.
I would say like
You'd want to say very
I th-
populated states.
I think
but
it
also
think it
wanna say
depends. I would probably say like probably California.
That's a solid fucking. That's a solid take.
rural. I'd say Montana, low key.
I thought Montana, but there isn't enough people in Montana to like really be a top 3. Like
Yeah,
I would
just
think
because they're kind of low.
yeah,
You think
like
so?
I would think Montana because there's so many national parks around there,
Yeah.
and
This is like Billings and Cook City.
Dude,
though. Really
yeah.
cool. You never. I don't know.
Utah
Yeah.
probably. And then I don't know, probably somewhere on the East Coast, like probably New York.
All right, those are all solid guesses. What about you, Gabe?
It's tough because part of me wants to say more populated states like New York, maybe.
Yeah.
But rural states, it feels like it's easier for people to go missing there.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Dude,
You
even
think about
I don't
people
know,
going to
I
like
want to
parks
hear.
all the
I'm
time.
curious.
All right.
Curious what
So I'll just say my 3 before going into this.
low key, I'm like under the top 3. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
Michigan because if Michigan's on there, I
Yeah.
would not be surprised.
All right, fair enough. I will say here is what my thoughts were before I looked into this study. I thought it was California in no particular order. I thought it was California, Alaska, and
That's a good one.
I mean maybe I'm biased, but I thought Minnesota just because I know a lot of people come here
I thought
like
Minnesota,
trips.
but I think
and it's like we have so many different like areas to go travel where it's like in the middle of nowhere. So I thought maybe top 3, but this is according to I'll put in the description below my sources for this, but off of one of the most recent websites I looked into, the top 3 were California with just in the past year. You might not think these are high numbers, but they are. It's honestly high if you really think into it. So 2,133 people in California, 1,252 missing cases in Florida, and 1,246 in Texas in the past year.
Florida makes sense. Like Everglades.
And in your head, you hear like
Just getting eaten by gators.
well, and like
you're only like a couple thousand, but honestly, a couple thousand open missing cases that
In a
you haven't been
year.
able to determine. Yeah, that's crazy
that's
numbers.
crazy.
Yeah, like I think some people would expect to hear like 10,000, 20,000, but it's
Yeah.
like, dude, just 2,000 or more people alone not being able to be found in over a year.
Dude, I
That is
saw
crazy.
I saw something that was like
Think about that per state. If it stays around that range, it
Exactly.
could be damn near 100,000.
Yeah,
Dude.
if I looked up all of the total missing cases, I'm sure the number is insane.
I think the
But
total
this is just in the past year reported missing cases.
I think the total per year is like 600,000.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
A lot of people can just
And-
they could just be runaways
Yeah.
from home.
It
or
could be like a
found
couple
recently.
days or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
but any missing person
Yeah.
case file, it's like
Yeah.
600,000 a year.
And if I was to theorize at all why California would be number 1, aside from the population, right? You brought that up too, like why you would guess
Big
that.
state, man.
Yeah. Aside from the population, I feel like it's almost kind of like a hot spot with it bordering Mexico and being right along the coast like that. I think that's a huge human trafficking hotspot.
See, that was
If there was
my
a big
thought
human
process.
traffic area in the
My
Texas
thought
makes
US.
sense
process
for that,
was
too.
Yeah, and that's probably why Texas is 3rd. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Florida. It's like
Florida
they're
makes
all
Florida makes
yeah,
sense.
they're all areas where you'd think it'd be easy to just take someone. I mean, as morbid as it is, it's easy
Everglades.
to-
If I was in the mob, I think the best place to be a mob boss would be Florida.
yeah.
You can get rid of anybody by going to the Everglades and throwing that
Yeah,
bitch
just
in the
feeding them
water.
to the alligators. They leave pretty much nothing
They
behind.
leave nothing.
Alligators are like the craziest way
They
to get rid
don't
of a
leave
body. But
bones.
Don't munch, they'll munch
Yeah.
your bones.
And,
They don't leave nothing behind.
to finish out this little study here too, the 4th to 10th spot, Arizona with 915, Washington with 643, New York with 606, Michigan with 556, Oregon with 432, Pennsylvania with 401, and Tennessee with 361.
Tennessee.
For me, I
That's
thought
terrifying just to think
Michigan made sense because it's a big enough area. Because everyone forgets about that huge peninsula.
Yeah.
With
You got a whole area just kind of cut off to its own.
Yeah, so like that whole area, like I would think like the lake.
Yeah, it's hard
That's
to.
Lake Superior right there.
Yeah.
right? Lake Superior,
I believe so.
or is that Lake?
Or is that Michigan?
Erie, maybe.
Is that Lake Erie?
Wait.
I think Superior's up there. Maybe I don't know.
One of them.
I'd have to look into it.
Big
I don't know off the top of my head.
Huge, bro. It looks like a fucking ocean.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Duluth and you look across the water,
Oh, dude.
it's
Yeah.
nothing, bro.
It's like
It's
it looks like
ridiculous.
it could be the size of like the Balkan Sea.
Dude,
You
it's
compare that.
massive.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's
But like even like national forests, like any national park, I
yeah.
thought Michigan would be up there.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, not at all. And building off of that, so kind of just delving deeper into the missing person cases in general. And have you guys heard of the term missing 411?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mr.
Yeah.
Ballin did a story about
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of a very general term nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But this term was coined by a guy named David Paulides or something along the lines. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he's a former police detective. And this is basically a term to describe mysterious disappearances or cases that typically involve individuals vanishing under strange circumstances. And these are typically also people that, there's no kind of like evidence left behind. So it's like someone like
Dude,
went
that's
out in
the
the middle of
worst.
nowhere and it's like all that was left behind was like a shoe. That's it.
Dude, sometimes like
If
most
not
of the time,
anything.
the creepiest ones, like which I feel like is more often than not, there's no tracks.
Yeah.
No evidence, nothing.
Exactly. And that's another common thing I'll get into later with this too is like no tracks left behind.
Yeah.
There's no scent left behind. They bring dogs to look. Nothing. It's like
Yeah,
that's what's really
it's so
interesting about the
crazy.
missing 411 cases. So here's some key points that I'll kind of get into too. It's like they're known to have a wide range of victims. So these victims span from all kinds of demographics: old people, young people, middle age, anyone. And they're all commonly found around state parks
Yeah.
or kind of like state like like
National
yeah,
parks,
national
I've
sites,
seen that,
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. I think that's what Mr. Ballin did the story on, how it correlates with
Yeah.
like the national parks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And kind of as I was saying, like lack of evidence. There's no scent trails. There's no clues to indicate what happened or how they went missing. It's kind of like they're almost just disappearing without a trace. And
national
another big
parks
thing,
that's a great place. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
planning on kidnapping someone, like
yeah, camp out
elements or animals can
Yeah.
like
camp
snuff
out
the
someone
trail
alone just
or-
at a track.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the
Not-
crazy thing,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. The crazy thing is a lot of these areas too, they'll not see anything. They'll search for weeks on end looking for a body, right? And all of a sudden, in an area that they've searched thoroughly over and over again, they will find the body out of nowhere.
It's drop off sites.
Tell me how that shit happens if it's not a killer. I get it. It's like, okay, an animal ate you or an animal took you, carried you back to their den.
Ooh,
But to sit there and search for weeks looking for someone's daughter that disappeared, only to find their mauled body just laying in a spot that you guys have looked over and over again. There's no way that was there.
I think it's really
It's interesting.
really rare that a missing persons case is from an animal.
Yeah. I agree.
Because if it's from an animal, it's really easy to track them and find them.
And most
Yeah.
animals aren't bold enough to attack like that unless you're like
Yeah.
in their
them.
territory,
Yeah.
provoking them near their kids or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
kind
they
of
won't
Like,
attack
there'd be
you.
blood, there'd be a struggle, like
Yeah.
broken branches, you know.
It wouldn't be
like,
clean.
Even
It'd
like
be a
the
mess.
ground, like the ground would be scuffled. Like there would be
Yeah.
like the plants, like the grass is like pushed down, you know. Even after a couple days, like that stuff really sticks.
Yeah. No, 100%. And this David Paulides guy, he kind of addresses that in his books. Because he tries to give multiple explanations for all of the reasonings why these might happen. You know, he dives into, all of the different kind of animals that might be like around that area. But he also goes as crazy to say, maybe it's aliens, maybe it's some kind of creature that we've never seen before. And then obviously he entertains the idea of murders from psychos that are just camping these places. So it causes a lot of skepticism online where these people are wondering like, okay, really, like, are these missing 411 cases really something we should be diving into? Or are these just, people that got lost in the woods and something happened,
Yeah.
and just
don't know,
leaving
man.
it at that?
That's a very plausible thing to happen.
Yeah, someone just getting
Someone-
lost and
someone falls into a
panicking.
cave. Like I don't
Yeah.
think people realize the cave network.
there's a lot of
in the
cave
United
systems.
States.
Yeah, it's crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
someone could just fall in a cave. You never find them because they're
or a bear just
hundreds,
drags you off
maybe
back
even
there.
thousands of feet down in the ground. You can't find them.
Or
It's
just
some
the
crazy shit.
straight up getting lost part.
Yeah.
Like, people don't come prepared enough, and they get too deep into the woods, too deep into a park.
No idea
These
where
national
they are.
parks are massive.
That's what
man.
there's some crazy sizes. Like it's honestly pretty.
And
nice.
that part where if you're a killer, that is a perfect spot to camp out.
No,
like
well,
I said, it's
yeah,
rural.
100%.
It's not like the park patrols are out there constantly. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's such a massive area. They can't cover it like all in one day. Keep
It's
it all
not like-
patrolled in the same day.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize how big a national park is.
Yeah,
Dude, it's
right.
thousands of
Especially
acres.
something like
Hundreds
Yosemite?
of thousands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like if you go to like Grand Tetons
Yeah.
in Montana,
Yeah.
dude, it's huge. It is literal mountain ranges and they're actual mountains.
Yeah.
When you go there and you see the landscape,
Or like Yellowstone, dude.
dude,
And the Rocky Mountains are a hot spot.
it's
too,
huge.
missing people.
It's
It's
insane.
huge.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna find someone in a couple days, bro. It's gonna take you a couple weeks to
Easily.
search the whole thing, if that.
That's why they have to get massive search parties to go and help. These
They're rounding up
patrols
like,
don't
entire
do
groups
these,
of people
like,
to
park
come.
rangers
look
don't
for
do
these
them
people.
by themselves. Like
Yeah.
they have to
It's
get like a
insane.
posse. They have to
It's
get a bunch of
wild.
people.
Yeah. And just to wrap up the 411 stuff, like essentially like nowadays it remains just like this kind of like mystery as to how these people kind of like ended up the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people just go crazy online speculating, kind of like building off of his books. Because, you know, obviously he provided those explanations I just stated, but people have taken that and just ran with different crazy ideas for how all these people go missing. And there's like tons of threads. Like if you guys, whoever's listening, are interested in the 411 stuff, you can dive into this stuff online. There are so many different articles and different
It's so
threads
crazy.
that are,
Right.
yeah. And there's always new things popping up on these threads, which is the part that really fucks me up is that, like, you know, we're all happily just laying in our beds or we're doing like our job and whatever, and someone is going missing, either getting human trafficked, getting kidnapped, murdered, or anything. Like at any given time, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
The quantity
Human
of people that go
trafficking thing is a
missing.
much bigger issue than people
Yeah.
realize. Like that movie.
It's one of those things people swipe under the
Dude,
rug. Oh, I know what you're
was
talking
that movie
about.
that just came out?
Freedom, something freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of freedom. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I thought that did a really.
And
good
they were
job.
trying to hide that too. They were trying to hide that in the
Yeah.
cinema. That was some weird shit going on.
My older brother Taylor was watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was watching
yeah.
it and I saw it and I was like,
All these problems theaters were
dude.
having.
I was like,
problems.
wow. I was like, wow, dude, I totally forgot that movie even existed.
Do you remember seeing those like things on TikTok? People are like, "Oh yeah, they said their like sound wasn't working in this theater.
sound
We just
wasn't working.
couldn't see the
Yeah.
movie or
Wow.
They're like
wrong
saying like, oh, we're gonna have to
screen
end
or
the
film."
Yeah.
Crazy.
Weird shit, yeah.
Yeah, it makes you think.
Yeah.
Dude, so yeah, just to wrap up 411, but that's actually where when we were on our Skinwalker episode, so 411 is actually where I saw the map. What was the guy's name again? The author?
David Paulides.
Yeah.
Or Paulides.
So he has a map that he correlated, and it's missing persons cases and then
the
national
national
forests.
I gotta throw that up right in this bad boy. Or
So
One of
that
these areas.
comparison, so like you were saying, like people had like crazy theories about, you know, like what was going on based
Yeah.
off of that.
Yeah.
But that's where I heard about like, dude, it might be skinwalkers because like national parks, like
that's what I'm
they're
saying. Like I entertain
huge.
the idea that like it
That was
could be.
part of my thinking that went into
Yeah.
rural states, kind of having some higher
Well, and
Like, I
that's
know
why
people
thought
might be
Utah.
like, "Oh,
I
that's
was like,
crazy."
dude,
Arizona, New
you know?
Mexico,
I was like,
Utah.
Utah should definitely be up there. I was surprised it wasn't in the top 10 actually.
Like I think people will always be like, "Oh, that's crazy. That's some wild shit." But like,
yeah.
I'm always willing to entertain the idea that it's something that, you know, isn't well documented.
Dude,
It's,
yeah. I mean,
some
that's
weird
I think
shit.
that's what's like the scary part is like,
especially in the Midwest.
dude, crazy.
Yeah, 100%. But building off that, I know you have some stories to share. Let me
Yeah.
just drop one of mine real quick, and then we
for
can
it.
get into yours.
Mhm.
One of the first stories I wanted to share was this character, or not character. This is a real person, which is fucking tragic. It's this guy named Bryan Laspisa. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him.
I don't think so.
Hopefully for the listener, like you've never heard this story, but it is pretty sad. So this guy, I'll just get straight into the story. It's kind of a lot to read, so I'll just kind of run with this. You guys let me know if at any point if you have any comments. So Bryan Laspisa was a 19-year-old incoming sophomore at Sierra College in California. He seemed to be doing well. He had a girlfriend and appeared to be a fairly popular guy and a good student. His girlfriend and another friend would note, however, that in the 2 weeks before the fall 2013 semester started, Bryce began heavily abusing alcohol and other substances, even by college standards. He also began to behave strangely in other ways, abruptly breaking up with his girlfriend shortly into the semester and selling some of his possession, including his mother's diamond earrings. His family was notified of this sudden change in behavior, so they called him to check in. They called and he claimed he sounded normal and happy, but he agreed to come home and unplug, which they proposed would help him reset. On August 30th, 2013, Laspisa headed for home. The drive should have only taken a few hours. His parents lived south in Orange County, but Bryce was on the road for more than 20 hours and never returned home. During the drive, he talked to his parents a few times, stopping once to have his car serviced, and even spoke with the police, who the family called when Laspisa didn't return home when scheduled. The police officer found Bryce at the same gas station where he had called his parents hours afterward. He had not moved from that spot. He was also reportedly reluctant to call his parents again to let them know he was all right, even though he allegedly had something he needed to speak with his parents about urgently. Although Bryce did eventually leave the gas station and head further on his way, he would pull the same routine later, stop for a rest, and not move. Bryce's car was later found that night overturned by Castiac Lake, but Bryce was nowhere to be found. It appeared he had driven up a steep hill and then sped down the other side toward the lake. To this day, no body has ever been found. The prevailing theory seems to be that Bryce had a psychotic breakdown and committed suicide, or perhaps suffered from schizophrenia disorder. He was, after all, around the age where disorders begin to manifest themselves, and heavy substance abuse can be an early sign. Until a body is found, however, there will never be an answer. That's wild.
No body being found is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, what? Yeah,
And he interacted with the police and was in touch with his parents the same night.
I think it's weird that he kept pulling over and then not wanting to move.
Yeah, and he told his parents that he had to talk to them, like he had to
About
tell them
something.
about something, yeah. And the cops were like, hey, like your parents are worried about you, call your parents.
Yeah.
And he called them one last time and then ended up just driving down a steep hill. His car was found overturned.
Weird, bro.
And no body?
That almost makes me think like he was involved with some
Weird
something, bro.
Like, was he trying to fake his death? Or like...
I don't know, man. Like, if you look at the track,
Sick.
right? Dealing with
crazy
drug abuse and like heavy alcohol. Because you're like, even by like college standards, heavy.
Even by college standards, heavy, yeah. That means you're basically drinking every night then.
Right. I'm glad they put that part in there because you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
college kid. He's
You're
like,
like, oh yeah, he's
college
drinking
kid,
three nights a week.
Come on.
Yeah.
But
It's
like-
like, no, this isn't him drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
no,
This is
I
him
know.
drinking like almost every day,
getting
pretty much.
trashed every day.
Yeah.
So
Off
getting
hard
getting
drugs and
trashed
shit.
every day
While he has a girlfriend.
while he has a girlfriend, heavy in
Good
drugs,
life, supposedly.
Yeah.
breaks up with his girlfriend
Yeah.
abruptly.
And everything was seemingly okay beforehand.
Everything was fine. He's selling his mom's diamond
Yeah,
earrings.
Red flag.
Then his parents like, all right, listen, I think you need to just come home, unplug. We'll help you. We'll deal with it. Just come
Yeah.
home. Okay, fine. Starts going home. Stops at a gas station,
Yeah.
like, and won't move.
Yeah. I almost
Cops
think,
are like, all right, hey, your parents are kind of worried about you. Should
Yeah.
take you only a couple hours to get home.
yeah.
It's been like 10 hours. You should go home. Right. Yeah, okay, all right. Goes home again, calls him, whatever, does the whole thing. Says, I have something I need to tell you.
Yeah.
And then
just-
he drives up a hill and flips his car and there's no body.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me think
Someone caught up to him, maybe. Tried
Someone-
to make it look.
someone caught up
some
to
type
him.
of way.
Something fucked
He
up.
broke
for
up with
sure.
his girlfriend to protect her from whatever it was.
Was stressed
That's
out,
why
so he's
I'm
abusing
thinking-
drugs and alcohol.
Exactly.
Using drugs and
I'm
alcohol,
thinking-
sells the diamond earrings to get money.
I'm thinking he was
Won't
involved
go
in drugs
home
and
so that
Hey, someone maybe
listen,
Yeah.
maybe he thought he was getting followed, and he didn't want to go home
could be.
because he didn't want to know, like he didn't want them to know where his family lived.
I honestly would agree with that.
Yeah.
And then they
I think he was involved in drugs.
pull him
and
out
it
of the
turned out
car.
wrong
They
way.
He's involved
go
with
and flip his
some
car.
people, maybe.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I bet you that's
It
what
was
happened.
definitely drug related. I think he got involved. He got involved in some kind of pills or something.
I think it would be really hard to believe that he flipped his own car, survived, didn't drive it into the lake.
No,
He flipped it.
he flipped it and the body wasn't found.
No body and no tracks
He crawled out of the car and survived.
with no trace.
Because you can't really fake a flip.
Well, you can fake a flip. You can just flip it.
But it's hard to flip it without really injuring yourself.
I mean, unless he had like a cylinder block or something.
You know what I mean, though. It's like
It's pretty hard.
to flip a car.
I mean, just put a cylinder block on the gas pedal, let the thing go.
I don't know, dude.
It's believable he could have been followed or
Yeah, I
was
don't.
involved with something.
To
Yeah,
be
maybe that
interacting
is
with
why
the
he
cops
stopped
and
off.
speaking
Thought
to your
someone was
parents
following
hours
him.
before, yeah.
Stopped to get him off the trail.
That's
It's
what my
definitely
mind
some
went
crazy
to.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that concludes
pretty
Bryce's
crazy.
story.
that's.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
want
could
to.
drop
I
a
don't
lot
want to run
theories
off of
on
it
that
too
one.
long, but
Sure.
I'll get into your stuff now. I'm just, dude, crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
So going back to kind of national park, mountain range kind of stories, a lot of people go missing there. So this was in the Rocky Mountains, but it was in 1938. Long time ago.
1938. Holy shit.
Long time.
How is that still
You
documented?
38, that's before World War II.
I know. It's a long ass time ago, but this is the
Was this located through like newspapers or what was?
Oh,
how was
yeah.
this documented?
it was
I'm
I found in I'm sure it was at least locally for sure. But so this is the Beilhartz family, and
All right.
they did a lot of like just, big family activities, I guess, which she would do more back then, obviously, going as a family. So they like to camp, right? So if you live next to the Rocky Mountain ranges too, I'm sure I would too.
Kind of stupid that you don't like
Right.
camping.
So in 1938, the whole family was camping deep in the Rocky Mountains. And the family consisted of the two parents, and there were 9 kids, which, families were bigger back then too. So
Light work.
light work back then. My grandma has like 14 siblings, bro. So, but anyway, one day on their camping trip, the whole family decided to go on a hike through the woods. And their youngest, I believe it was their youngest, their son Alfred, he wandered off at some point during the hike, and the family like just kind of lost track of him, I guess. But like they thought he was, it was like safer back then, I guess. Parents would let their kids have a little more freedom. Even as young as 4, I guess. They just kind of thought, oh, he wandered off a little bit, but he'll be back. They just thought he was not too far off playing somewhere, so they didn't pay too much mind. But sometime later, when the family started to get worried and he hadn't come back and everyone started calling out for him, there was no response and he couldn't be found. So his parents immediately notified authorities and a massive search was started, with most believing he drowned in the nearby river because there's a large river that runs through the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people were like, yeah, I mean, we'll get a search party together, but he most likely drowned.
Wait, I'm sorry if I missed this. How did he be unsupervised in the first place? How did he wander off in the beginning?
It's just like that.
He just wandered
His
off.
parents weren't just home, or
I think it was said, I don't know if this is true, but he was kind of just towards the back of the group.
Gotcha.
Kind of just at some point
Yeah,
was just kind
dipped
of
out.
meandered towards the back and then he wandered off.
Fuck.
So
All right, sorry, I didn't
really,
mean to interrupt.
no, and they didn't let it go too long where he was
Yeah.
gone. It was just like after a little while they were like, oh, okay, this
Yeah.
is probably a problem, right? So, yeah, so the massive search was started with most believing he drowned in the river. Authorities would then bring out bloodhounds who quickly picked up his scent, right? So picking up his scent wasn't the problem. They took him back to where they started the hike. The dogs got his scent, and they caught it going upstream, like the family, like how they were walking. And then they followed it to an extremely steep hill, too steep for any human to climb, much less a 4-year-old, right? And the hounds laid down at the base of the hill to signal that the kid was like up top.
Yeah.
He was up the mountain. So everyone's like, how? This is like a steep mountain. No human without climbing gear could get to the top of this.
Was it like a hill or was it like a cliff?
It was like steep. It was
Okay.
more like a cliff, I guess.
Okay.
So, and yeah, this was impossible. It was a 500-foot rough, rocky, and steep mountain, and authorities recognized this, and they were like, okay, maybe the hounds got it wrong. They sent the 3 hounds back, and they came back with 2 new ones.
Fuck.
2 new dogs. So they started the dogs right where they started the last one, right? Where they started their hike, followed it upstream. And they, just as like the previous dogs did, and then shockingly, they laid down at the bottom of the same mountain. Followed the exact same trail
Just to say like, oh,
to say he was up there.
Dude.
To say he was up the mountain.
Fuck.
And authorities were stunned as they now had no doubt that Alfred had been or was still there. Right? He had.
How would he even made it up like that high of a hill though?
That's the thing, right? So they're like, but how, right? So there's still no sign of him up to that point, and the search had gone on for quite a while. And then later into the search, a call came in from a hiker about 6 miles away who had made his way to like a lodge or something to make a call. And he was like 6 miles away, claiming he had sat down to take a rest at some point during the hike where he had a view of that same mountain, but from a different side.
Mm-hmm.
And he went on to say that when looking at the mountain about 500 feet up, just like, they said how high the mountain was, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, checks out. He saw a boy at the edge of an outcrop in the mountain look down at him, and out of nowhere, the boy then let out a horrifying scream just before something massive appeared behind him and pulled him backwards at such a speed that he disappeared.
What?
That changes the entire story.
Bro, he like didn't see
Alfred
what
was-
it was?
He said a massive figure.
They're saying
That's
this
all he
wasn't
could say
a
he
boy getting
saw.
lost in the woods. Now it's become a situation where this is like some kind of like demonic being that
That's
came upon him in the
crazy.
middle of the woods.
Yeah, or some kind of creature. He said it was big enough
It's like some
to
Blair Witch shit.
outline the kid, and like you could just see it around the kid, and it pulled him back at a force that he just flew. He disappeared.
Bro, what?
and then just
the
poofed
kid-
out of existence.
The kid was never seen again.
No body ever found.
Never found.
Holy shit.
Were they able to like get up there?
I don't know. I'm sure at some point they tried to get up there, but they didn't find
I
anything.
can only imagine what people in
That's
the
crazy.
1930s were thinking
Yeah.
versus what we know
I
now.
couldn't
That's,
even imagine.
imagine losing your kids in the the late 1930s, and there's no studies to like.
At least you had 8
What
more.
do you say to that, bro?
I'm sure they were way more believable of like, oh, some secret entity.
Bro, just some shadowy figure just
Yeah. Like I know how
he
we
said
feel
the
about
kid
shadowy figures
flew.
now,
Yeah.
but I'm sure in the late 1930s, a shadowy figure was like commonplace almost back then. Like it was
That's
like, oh yeah, there's some
crazy.
weird witch shit.
in the Rocky Mountains too.
Yep.
Like we've heard about how the Pilgrims thought about
Bigfoot?
witches and all that shit.
That's crazy.
You know, I'm sure they believed heavily in like dark spirits doing shit like that
I'm
back then.
sure.
Could be.
Bro, could have been a skinwalker.
You know what's
bro.
crazy? That's less than 100 years ago.
Could have been a skinwalker.
That's less than
Rocky Mountains.
1938.
What else is climbing up a 500-foot?
Gabe, you said 1938.
1938.
That's less than 100 years ago, dude. That's insane.
Mm.
Fuck.
Wild story,
Bro,
man.
That's crazy.
Yep. Kid was never seen again. Never
Never
found a
seen
body.
again.
Nothing.
Never found a body.
And
That's so
I'm sure
crazy.
they went up there after hearing that story and the
Yeah.
dogs. Never found nothing.
That's so crazy because, like, in 100 years from now, like, people will just be able to go on the internet back to, like, shit from right now.
Or take a
Whereas,
video
like,
of it.
like stuff from the 1930s, it's like, oh, how do they keep track of that? But, like, people in, like, 100 years from now, it's like, did you hear about the shit that happened in the 2020s? And you could just go online.
Yeah. Right.
That's weird. That's crazy
That's
stuff.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Because he said that he was on another side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, was there a way to get up that way?
And did his parents
No,
not press?
I don't think so. If there was, it was just steep. Too steep for anyone to climb without, like, gear.
Dude, if my son were
No.
to go out and anybody were to claim, like, if anybody were to claim they witnessed my son,
A
like, I'd be
shadowy
like, okay, this
figure.
person was involved.
Maybe.
That's some weird shit.
I don't know. That's
Dude, if my
crazy.
son went missing and Gabe was the last witness to see my son,
I think that's.
I'd be like, "What'd you
I think
do?"
that's still wild because no human could climb up
Without gear.
without gear.
It's too steep.
That's what I'm saying.
And he traveled in an opposite direction to go to a cottage or a lodge or whatever he was going to make a phone call to be like, yo, I just saw this. I don't
Yeah.
know what
they
that
didn't have like
is."
their mobile phone. Someone had said he made a call. I'm like, he must have went somewhere. And like,
That's-
I'm like,
No,
I just saw.
I don't think
this.
I could.
I don't trust
we,
this guy.
How would he have time to do that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't
And
trust him.
it could be totally made up. It could be totally made up, but that doesn't excuse the fact that the dogs went to the cliff and sat down to indicate.
Here's
that
what
he
I'm
was up
saying,
there.
though. Okay, here's what I'm saying. I hope that most people would agree. If I saw some crazy demonic shit happen to a kid in the middle of the woods, and I'm the only witness to see this kid go missing, I don't know if I'm saying anything.
That's crazy.
I know that might be a wild statement, but okay, who's gonna believe you?
I'm telling
You
someone.
can look it up. It's on like Wikipedia.
No, I
and,
get
like,
it, I get it, but I'm
Strange
saying-
Outdoor. No, I'm just saying for
No,
people
I'm-
who like want to see
Yeah,
it. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
well.
I'm saying from my
documented.
perspective, who is gonna believe you if okay? Oh yeah, let's say modern day. Let's say modern day, Micah. You
Oh.
have.
Okay, hang on. I gotta throw this in here because
Yeah,
I just
throw this thing.
I looked it up for shits to see how like many people had it like documented or how many like websites.
Yeah.
And Wikipedia's got a section on it. And I went in and it says possible sightings. 2 kids saw him, supposedly, right? Allegedly. When traveling in the park, he was next to the river crying. Then he fell and it seemed as he was being dragged into the forest.
What?
Hikers in a different part of the park claim they saw the small boy. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. Hikers in a different part of the park claim that they saw a small boy on an elevation called the Devil's Nest on Mount Chapin while walking along Old Fall Road. According to the sighting, the boy sat on the edge of the elevation for several minutes before being jerked back by someone off to the side.
Fuck.
The identity of this person has never been established.
Wait, by
Hikers-
someone?
Now they're saying it could have been a person. The hikers
Yeah, now that makes me
contacted park
conflicted in what
officials
my
who
statement
sent
was.
climbers to search the cliff top, but they found nothing. The
I was
search,
more banking off of like just a one witness with what I was saying earlier.
yeah, so now they're saying hikers.
I'm saying
So
multiple
maybe it was
witnesses.
more than one
That's
people.
different.
Yeah. So the search party included 150 men and members of the Civilian Conservation Corps. Sometime later, Alfred was supposedly sighted walking along a road with a man in Nebraska.
What?
That's crazy.
That's insane.
The aftermath. There's an aftermath. A bandage
let's hear
found in an abandoned cabin was tested. A bandage
A bandage?
found in an abandoned cabin was tested.
You're not saying this matched.
The blood was, since the child had
This
a
did not
similar
match
one
him.
when he vanished. A ransom note for $500, equivalent to $10,823 in 2023, was sent to the parents after Alfred had been missing for 5 months. However, police determined it to be a hoax. Alfred's father believed that Alfred had been abducted but was still alive.
That's crazy.
So there's a little more to that story. I didn't even know
Okay,
that.
well, before hearing that though, can I just say,
Mm.
Gabe, picture, you have this beautiful 4-year-old son with your wife, and he goes missing in the woods, and some random guy like a week later is like, "Hey, I saw like a weird shadow pull this kid."
I
and
think it
he
was
just
that like
disappeared."
same day that they
Yeah.
started the search.
Oh, that close?
And now it's hikers, so maybe I think
Okay.
there was more than one in the park.
So ignoring everything you just said, we're definitely about to dig into that. But I just want to say, just from the mindset of like, okay, your 4-year-old son that you have with your beautiful wife just went missing in the woods, right? And this random guy is like, oh, I saw like a shadow pull him, and the kid just disappeared.
Mm.
Would you not be pressing that guy, being like, nah,
A little bit.
you're the last one to see my child, and you're saying he just disappeared?
Probably be pressing.
Like,
it
I
for
would
more
be pressing that
details.
guy, being like, okay, this guy knows more than he's letting on.
Could be.
But when you say all of that, now I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at it like there's multiple people saying that this kid's getting pulled into the woods and all this wild
Right.
shit.
And now saying by a person.
And with a
Yeah.
person in Nebraska.
They did just say it was a bigger figure than Alfred pulled him back, so it could have been. Then now it could have been a person,
Could have been.
most likely a
We're hearing
person.
shadows, dude.
But then they went up. Climbers were sent to search the cliff top and found nothing. No trace.
It almost pains me more for like me to know that the parents never really found a solution. They never found a resolution to the problem of where did my son go.
I mean, that's what happens with most missing cases, I feel like.
That it's just left in the open and you have to come to terms with no closure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how difficult it is to come to terms with something without closure?
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, without closure would be horrible. I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
just
why,
a
that's why
breakup
cops-
alone without closure is fucking terrible. To imagine your son going missing with no closure ever, and you just have to accept that, like fighting yourself in your head going, oh, I should have watched him better that day, or
Well, that's
I
why
should
cops
have
will make
made sure I was
deals,
with him and all that.
with
It's
these
like,
guys too, to be like they'll literally give them like a lighter sentence or a cushier jail just to like give the parents closure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just to figure out, like,
Where's the body?
bro, just tell us where the body is.
Right.
that's such a tragedy.
Mm.
That's like the worst like thing you could never like. You couldn't wish that on your worst enemy kind of situation.
Bro, yeah, no.
Yep.
That's-
Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado.
It's tragic.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, man. Well, I mean,
Wow.
as much as I hate to hear that, like, thank you for sharing that story, because fuck.
Mm.
That's so sad to even
pretty
think
wild.
about.
Well, so, I mean, at least it's like, it's not like a shadowy figure. It's a guy. Probably.
Yeah,
Now they're saying it was-
after further information,
Yeah.
and it's just this guy that wasn't paying attention enough, I guess. Maybe cornered his eye.
I think it actually, in my opinion, no. Never mind.
I don't know. It's fucked up. I don't even want to think about that one for too much longer. I'll get into our next one. 'Cause fuck, that one. Like mine aren't that young of a person. Like hearing a 4-year-old just disappearing like that actually really fucks me up.
Right. Now they're saying it looked like a they couldn't even really tell if it was a person.
Like I even said the
So-
last episode, like we messed
I mean,
up
it
our
couldn't
first
have been
recording
an
of this
animal.
podcast, and like I know this is my second time hearing that, and it still hits me on such a
Yeah.
level, bro. Just to think about a child, dude.
It's pretty wild.
You know how quick a year goes by, and this is a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Yep.
4 years, dude. Less than 4 or more than 4 years ago is when we were in high school at this point, or just
Yeah,
about.
more.
Yeah. It's like, dude, that time alone is this child's life going missing.
No, less.
Yeah, just about.
When we were in
We
high
were-
school.
Yeah,
we
we're
in high school
almost
4 years ago.
4 years.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
We were ending. Well, I guess
Yeah,
we
4 years ago we were on our
we would've
last
been in
legs.
COVID.
Yeah. 4
Yeah.
4 years
We-
ago we were on
it
our
was
last
quarantine.
trimester.
Right now, we would have been like, bro, extended
Yeah.
spring break.
We would have been like 2 months.
God.
Yeah.
What a hoax.
Right
that
would've been-
turned out to be.
We would have been less than 2 months from graduating 4 years ago. So
Yep.
just about our entire time from now till high school was this child's life, and it was just taken like
Yeah,
that.
bro.
Wow, bro.
That's so crazy.
That time went by how quick to us? It's like fuck, man.
Quick.
This kid didn't even get to know what his life could have been.
I mean, like, that's why human trafficking is such a huge deal to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like,
it
that's
is.
why, like, Sound of Freedom was a huge movie.
Yeah, I really got to go back and watch that.
Because,
I
like,
still haven't seen it all the way
Yeah.
through.
bro, because, like, it happens all over.
All the time.
All the time.
Fuck.
It's insane how massive it is and people don't realize it.
No, yeah.
Well, and that's why I thought New York, when we were talking about, like, most missing persons. Because I would think New York would be a huge place for that.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're still in the top 10. I think
Yeah.
they ranked what? Like
Yeah, they were in there.
I think
they
they were,
ranked
like, 6th.
yeah, 6th. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, let's get into our next one cuz fuck, dude, this is actually making me sad as fuck.
Yeah.
So, I'll throw up this picture. This is the woman that's on the next missing persons case. Put that picture up right now. This is roughly hour 5 minutes in. It's sad, dude. So, I'll just get right into this one. This goes off of a thread where someone asked, what is the most mysterious disappearance case in recent times? And this goes on. An answering machine recorded a voice message. Aid, I need someone to try to reach me. I don't have much time, I guess. And then it just trails off. And the message ended with a loud crash. In 1998, Diane Augat, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, left that message on her mother's answering machine. But the strange thing about it is that Diane had been missing for 3 days at the time she left that recording. The police immediately went to where the call came from. In the phone booth, there was a severed finger, and nearby in a store were Diane's clothes in a neatly folded bag. This girl had a complicated life. She was admitted to a psychiatric hospital, but her mother believes she was not ready to leave. Unfortunately, as of today, absolutely nothing is known about this case, nor about Diane's whereabouts, or whether it was herself or whether it was a kidnapping. And then I have a link that I can drop in the description for you guys to kind of dig into it if you so please to.
Did they say like what she was in the ward for? Like
No.
the psychiatric ward?
When was this?
Just kind of like on a psychiatric breakdown. Like,
Did you say it was 1980s or 1990s?
98, right?
1988, I believe. Let me pull it up. 1998, yeah.
It was
1998. Okay. I was gonna say if it was like closer to like the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people used to get thrown into psych wards for a lot of things.
Like, fuck, man.
Still,
like they found a severed finger in a phone booth, and her clothes were folded in a neatly bag.
Then again,
or neatly folded in a bag.
If she was suffering from like schizophrenia or like multiple personality disorder,
or she did it herself.
She could have done it herself because a whole other personality is a totally different person.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's aggressive, that can be a huge red flag for letting someone out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kind of depends.
Yeah.
Because I think what's really interesting about multiple personality disorders is that they know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what's weird.
They try to like control each other.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So like her being like, I don't have much time, I guess, is like, I don't know when this personality is going to take over. But it's going to be soon.
Yeah, it could, that's definitely a idea to throw out there.
Yeah. Clothes, put it into the bag.
Could have been some weird shit. Like she chopped her off her finger. She was trying to maybe.
Well, like it could even been like
his personalities share the same body, so it was like, oh, I'm gonna chop off your finger.
Yeah.
Right. Does it to herself.
I don't know. It's definitely an interesting one. Yeah. Not too much information on that, so I guess we can't really build that too far. But
else did it to her, people would have seen a struggle.
There would have been more.
And again, wouldn't you see someone else struggling with a finger missing?
It's the same issue as the last one. It fucks me up because there was no body found, just a finger and neatly folded clothes in a bag in the nearby fucking.
Well, I mean, either case, I wouldn't think there'd be a body to be found.
But going into the next one, have you guys ever heard of Brian Shaffer?
Mm-mm.
So here's a picture of this guy. I'll throw this one up as well. So Shaffer was a medical student at Ohio State University. On the night of March 31st, 2006, he went out with his friends to celebrate the beginning of spring break at the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Later, he was separated from them, and they assumed he had gone home. However, a camera near the entrance to a bar recorded him briefly talking to two women just before 2 a.m., April 1st, and then apparently re-entering the bar. He has not been seen or heard from since. There was reportedly only 2 exits in the bar, and both do not show Brian leaving. They have looked at the security tapes numerous times and can account for every person leaving except for Brian. Brian was out with 2 friends that night, Clint and Meredith. When asked to take a polygraph by police, Meredith complied, but Clint did not. His reason was that he had nothing to hide and had told the police everything he knew. Web sleuths theorize that Brian was murdered and disposed of by a bar employee. Some say he is connected to the smiley face killers, and some have said that since the Ugly Saloon was going through construction, Brian drunkenly fell into a concrete pit and was covered over. It's almost been 12 years and the police have no leads. The case is still open. And I will also include these links for my sources in the description if you guys ever want to look into this for yourselves.
Dude, that's crazy. So actually, I have heard this story before.
You have?
I have.
Was it the smiley face killers that kind of...
I'm not sure, but I was reading about it and...
when was that again? Sorry.
I believe
it was like
was
2010s, I think.
Oh, so that was more recent.
I think
2006.
2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that really stuck with me is that the article that I was reading is he went up an escalator, like in the bar, like I'm assuming it was a big bar.
Yeah.
But he like went up the escalator, but then never came back down.
Yeah.
which is weird.
Shit, yeah.
But like, it really could be anything.
It could be. You have no idea. The construction kind of hits me.
Dude.
They could have built him into the walls.
Covered
Whoever
over
didn't
in
want to see him.
cement.
Yeah.
Like, aside from him drunkenly falling into cement, like,
It's more
if
common.
someone in there did not like him, they could have buried him in the walls.
yeah. Find
There's so
bodies
many
in
different
their,
ways during
like,
construction.
walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's more common you think, people hiding bodies.
I mean,
in,
dude,
like,
even this house alone was built in 76.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
I have no idea what could be inside the fucking
I
brick.
think what show
there.
was
Got a
it?
couple bodies in there, man.
I have 2 chimneys, so it's like,
It was either a show. It might have been either Criminal Minds or it was. Have you heard of Psych?
Psych.
I love Psych.
classic.
Such a good show.
I haven't watched that.
never
It
seen it.
might be a top.
I've
5.
also never seen
It
Supernatural.
might be a top 5. It's so
Gus.
good.
You mess with
Love Gus. I fuck with Gus.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you guys are talking
But Psych is
You
like
just fuck with Gus. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
So Psych is this detective show. It's like kind of like a comedy, but like it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
It's this guy. He's like super perceptive because his dad's like a really good cop, and he like trains him as a kid to like be super perceptive about like
Yeah.
things in the room. And he basically like convinces this police department that he's a psychic and that he can solve cases for them because he'll like do this, but he's like actually just
Like
being
Daredevil.
he's just like super perceptive, but he's like
Yeah.
acting like he's a psychic.
Yeah.
And there was one episode that they were talking about like firefighters. There was a firefighter that was lighting buildings on fire, but there's actually bodies inside the buildings that he was lighting on fire, and I think he's like trying to cover up like old murders or something. But I always thought about that. Like, could you imagine like doing reconstruction in your house? Just like banging a wall down, all of a
bury a
sudden
body in
body
there?
just falls out of the wall, and you're like,
So I'm moving out. I'm gone.
that is not mine.
I promise.
But you report it, and what are you going to do?
Right?
Oh, I found a body in my wall.
Yes.
The police are gonna hold you.
Yeah,
cooked.
100%.
You're cooked.
You're at the very least getting interrogated.
You're
for
the
a
only
little
person
bit,
to ever find that body.
That's crazy.
right?
Yeah, it's
I can
fun.
imagine.
You just have to be like, look at the previous owner.
what I'm
I
saying,
don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Who-
It wasn't me.
Who
Yeah.
built the house? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I swear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
There
shit's-
was a Criminal Minds episode though where like they were putting they like worked construction. It was like a group of them, right? And they put like bodies in the walls.
Oh,
places
yeah,
that were-
yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I
you
forgot
never
about
know,
that
bro.
episode. Dude, yeah, crazy stuff.
Never know what could be in the walls.
Yeah.
They're in the walls.
In the
Do
walls.
you have any more going on?
No. That was my story.
All right.
I
Yeah.
actually do.
Oh, all right. Let's
Yeah.
get into yours. Hey, okay, my guy.
So going back to the mountains, mine is her name is Sheila Kearns. I don't have a picture. But she was it was in Washington. I think that's where Mount Rainier is.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It was that national park.
I always forget about Washington.
Yeah, it's super crazy.
Yeah.
But she worked at it's called the Paradise Inn in August, or she was working there. It was in the national park at around August as a seasonal employee, where she did so well that they offered her a full-time job. So like super good worker, like super stable, like no issues,
Yeah.
doing super well. They offered her a full-time job.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season, the employees at the park have a bonfire party as like a mark of like the season ending for like the summer.
Yeah.
And so the last time she was seen was October 4th in 1996, when she was told, or when she told a coworker about how excited she was to be a full-time like employee. So like at the bonfire, super chill, like she was like chopping it up with a coworker, like, yeah, I'm super excited to like work here all year.
Yeah.
So when you're a full-time employee at this inn, they supposedly have like rooms for them, like all set up. So it's like she's like moving her stuff in. And so she was moving her stuff into this employee housing the last couple days when she disappeared. On October 6th, she didn't show up for work while all of her possessions were like still in her room,
Oh, that's
nothing,
weird.
Nothing was moved.
So she would have went missing in the middle of the night then.
Nothing was moved. All of her stuff was untouched in her room.
That means she would have been taken like while she was like chloroformed or something. Then.
Maybe.
Or she's not putting up a struggle.
Who knows?
Also, like nothing was found out of place.
Yeah, no,
I
nothing
thought you
was.
were just saying nothing was missing from the place.
No, nothing-
She didn't get robbed.
Yeah, no.
Nothing
No,
was
this
out
is
of
like
place.
she had a
Wasn't
gun to her
robbed.
head or she was chloroformed.
Nothing, like it wasn't robbed, nothing. So they held a 3-day search until the snow started falling, and they were like, we can't do anything now because like the snow is falling. So in May of 1997, so they waited October to May to look for this person.
Yeah, good luck.
Snow thawed out, and a volunteer who was setting up a navigation course for the park rangers found skeletal remains at the community
No.
about a mile from the inn. Here's the crazy part. The remains were scattered around in an area of 300 yards.
What?
So they found bones, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
and they're like, where's the rest of it?
right.
And it was scattered in a 300-yard area.
And it was like after they put everything together, it seemed like it was her.
Yeah.
No, dude, what the fuck?
It was smart
So,
by the
like,
killer, I guess.
dude, so,
Spread
like,
it out.
Two
What did he do to her?
2 NFL-sized football fields.
3.
Well, I mean, if you're including like seating and all that sort of stuff, right?
Holy fuck.
But like, dude,
What was 300 yards, right?
Holy
300 yards,
Yeah.
He tore her apart.
Oh yeah,
bro.
chopped her up for sure. That's insane.
That's
He was like fucking-
crazy.
he was
So
throwing
that
her,
close to the inn,
throwing her
though.
around on the floor like she was
Dude,
like.
They think it was
seeds.
someone who worked there.
Oh my god.
They don't know. They have no idea.
Holy fuck.
Dude, they had to wait.
He was like throwing her around like she was fucking like
Bro, I don't know.
seeds to plant for trees.
300 yards? Are
300
you,
yards?
Bro, are you throwing body parts 300 yards?
Oh, you're not throwing them. Nah, but you're.
Listen. If you're disposing of someone, right, you're just like hucking them out there. Bro, 300 yards?
Were they in the? Did they have to dig them up? Did you say, or they were
No,
just there?
They were there.
Oh, I thought you said they dug them up.
No, dude, it was on the ground.
That almost sounds like an animal got her.
Kind.
But you said that there was nobody.
Bro, she went.
She said
She
you
had to have
said
got
that
taken
there was
from her
everything
room.
untouched.
Yeah, she had-
everything was untouched
yeah,
in her
everything
room.
was untouched.
So that doesn't.
So she was moving.
That makes you think it wasn't. An
Like she was
animal.
moving all of her stuff in.
Was this guy chopping her up as he went?
I
My
don't know.
God, dude, that just.
A mile from the inn, but it was at the community building.
Right. Kind of makes you think someone who worked there with her, maybe.
That's crazy.
Damn.
300 yards though.
Spread.
And they're
That's
scattered.
weird.
They're scattered.
Why wouldn't you take the time to put them underground?
Like it's not like like
Just to leave
this
them on
stuff's- like
the
this
ground?
stuff's over here, this stuff's over here. Like it was scattered.
Right.
Why would you ever want to do that to anybody?
No kidding. But going through that effort, I thought he dug a hole, put him in.
No, bro. 300 yards,
around.
bro.
That's kind of stupid on whoever killed her.
Bro, you'd have to like go in like a golf
You know
cart.
what I mean?
No, I agree. That's
like,
stupid,
drive
but At
around.
the same
You
time,
take the time to spread it out.
you're gonna
a hole.
disembody someone.
Yeah, that is
Yeah, why would you spread it
I
around if
feel
you're
like,
not going
okay,
to dig a
this
hole
might
and
be an
bury
insane-
it?
right. Just leave it there.
This
You
might
think the
be an
wildlife's
insane
gonna take
take.
care of it?
But I think there's two different types of killers. There's the killers that just kill someone, and then there's the killers that are like mutilating the body.
Well, see, but that's the people who just kill
Sociopath and
someone.
a
That's a
psychotic.
psychopath, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't think consequences will hit them. So they'll just kill. So they won't take the time to scatter at 300 yards
Yeah.
or dismember something. Maybe they will, but more
Just,
than
like,
likely
the idea
not.
that there's people out there that are either, boom, shoot someone in the head,
right.
and then there's other people that are like,
That's a real
gonna do this
maniac
to
who
the
splits
body.
them up, though.
Yeah, real.
I'm gonna cut your
That's
arms
like-
off. I'm gonna mess your corpse up. I'm gonna fuck.
'Cause
like,
a
your dead
psychopath,
body.
it's
Like,
like-
what the fuck?
With that
How are there
comes
people out there like that?
right,
Bro,
and with that
it's
comes you think they
crazy.
might just like. I don't care. Like I'll just kill them. Their brain is too scrambled
Age
to be
warning on
like
this episode, dude.
Yeah.
to be very like I'm looking for a word. Just that. I'm looking for a word here to just be that like thorough with it, I guess. Like, but someone who
meticulous.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Man,
but someone who's like you can't even really say psychotic, just insane enough to like be able to take their time like that and like. Yeah. Bro, it's just crazy.
Fucking insane.
Put that much time into it and take time to chop.
Bro,
up
but
and, like,
that's some serious like.
Bro, but that's like
serious.
That's
like
like
crazy shit.
That's almost like their job.
Yeah, to them, 100%. Yeah.
Like it's like.
Well, I heard that. I heard that.
It's like, dude, I have to do this, and like, there's like certain things that I have to do in my own brain as like rules, and like, there's like certain things that I have to do so that like, it like fulfills the.
Fantasy.
I heard online that it's like similar to like a nicotine addiction, dude, and like not on some like wild shit.
I mean, like,
but I heard it's like literally no. I'm
but
not trying to.
Stop.
I'm just saying.
No,
stop. I'm just saying. I heard it's similar, like on a nicotine itch, like where like you're sitting there and like once you've done it, like you're just sitting there like I don't feel right unless I do it again.
Yeah.
It's like some shit like that. Like I used to be a nicotine addict a couple years ago. I can speak on it. It's that same feeling where you're sitting there and you're like,
you have to do it.
Yeah, you're sitting there after a few hours and you're like, okay, if I don't do this again, like it's really fucking bugging me.
See, but like that's like the two different types of like the killers, because like sometimes
sometimes
like it's either like it's a job, like I have to do this. So that's like
it's not like they even want to sometimes. It's
well,
like,
and so that's the other
to get the police stop them.
Yeah.
Like the killers who will leave breadcrumbs and be like, "Oh, help!" or
Yeah,
just
like
be
the
as blatant as like,
Zodiac
"Help
catch
me."
me, dude.
Have
Yeah,
you looked
like,
catch me.
Have you ever
killers
looked
who
into
do
like
that.
the real Zodiac killings? That shit's insane.
Dude, I think the Zodiac
Little
Not
bit.
the
killer,
movie,
Not
like
as
the
thoroughly
real
as I could.
Zodiac
craziest
killers.
thing ever, bro.
Yeah.
Craziest
Straight up
thing
sending
ever.
shit to the fucking news.
Well, and how insanely smart that guy was too. Just
I couldn't even imagine his IQ.
yeah,
Like, genuinely.
smart,
dude.
very smart.
Like if Albert Einstein had a mental break.
Kinda.
Bro.
That's
Someone
crazy.
with very high intelligence. Like the stuff he put together, like trying to decipher that
Bro,
was
wild.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure some of his stuff, it took years for them to like break it down.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was like Enigma, right? Where they had to like, it was a code, and once they got
Yeah.
it, then they could decipher it. But it took a long time to fully decipher his code,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
So wild.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, boys. I think we really dove into this shit tonight.
Yeah, very deep episode.
Well, if any
I
of you
do like
listeners-
this stuff.
Yeah.
It is the
I
kind of
really
stuff
like
that makes
doing
you
like
think.
deep dives into like.
Yeah? You like this?
The mind fuck stuff. Like
You-
it makes
you-
you think.
you like-
Yeah, I love
you
it.
like-
Yeah, yeah, Gabe.
Yeah,
you
you love
you
it?
like looking into murders? What
Yeah.
the fuck
you
is
like
wrong
it?
with you?
You like getting ideas?
What the
Huh?
fuck?
You like reading new material?
Yep.
Getting some new ideas?
Tony, don't be concerned if he goes missing, bro.
Tony.
Don't be concerned if Micah goes missing.
Tony.
Well, the internet's already gonna know who to look for.
Yeah, probably.
Not Tony. Micah, don't give me that look. Now I'm worried you guys are both gonna kill me. Fuck. If I go missing after this episode, viewers, please report Gabe and Micah online.
No one said that.
Wow. This is all staying in. I'm not cutting it.
I promise. I promise it wasn't us, bro.
It's not me, dude.
I hope you guys pop to the YouTube channel to watch this shit, because fuck. Alright, well, like I said, if you guys enjoy these kind of episodes, you know, obviously we like to do our kind of regular Sidetracked episodes where we're just discussing culture, but if you guys enjoy these deep dives where we go into either hauntings, killings, you know, just the morbid fucking
The
theory shit, you know, let us know that you guys like that. We'd love to see it. So otherwise, you guys can find us on @SidetrackT on pretty much every platform, Instagram, Twitter, all that shit. Otherwise, we're on every streaming service, so check us out. Otherwise, thank you guys for peeping out, checking this episode.
Episode.
All right, have a great night. Peace out.